Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University School of Health Sciences, SOHS. Post-Basic Bachelor of Science in Nursing B.Sc.N. PB, revised. First year. BNS to 01 Nursing Foundation. Block-1 Concepts in Nursing. Unit-3 Developmental Stages of an Individual. 3.0 Objectives. After going through this unit, you will be able to define growth, development, and maturation. Explain the various theories of development. Explain the factors affecting development. Describe the different stages of development of an individual. Identify the needs, problems, and tasks of various developmental stages, and enumerate emotional stages associated with process of dying. 3.1 Introduction. Human growth and development is an orderly, predictable process beginning with conception and continues until death. It involves many complex changes in all dimensions of a person throughout the lifespan. Each person progresses through definite phases of growth and development, but the pace and progression of this development are highly individual. Heredity and environment influence the growth and development of an individual. Nurses must incorporate developmental perspective in nursing care to effectively assess the client's needs and provide comprehensive care to the client. This unit discusses the important theories of growth and development, and you will also learn the needs, problems, and tasks of each developmental stage of human life. It will also enlighten you on the importance of learning developmental stages. The concepts of health and nursing which you have studied in the previous units will help you in understanding the developmental stages of an individual and thus meeting various needs of an individual in holistic manner. 3.2 Definition of terms. Growth and development are not synonymous terms, but they are interdependent in function. Growth. Growth refers to an increase in physical size of the whole or any part and can be measured in inches or centimeters and pounds or kilograms. Marlowe and Redding, 1998, p. 163. Therefore, growth is a change in quantity and occurs when cells divide and increase in number and size due to synthesis of protein. Development. Development refers to progressive increase in skill and capacity to function which causes qualitative change from a lower to a more advanced stage of complexity. Development is orderly and is reasonably enduring. The development also refers to intellectual, moral, emotional, sexual, social, language, speech, and spiritual. Development. Developmental tasks. Developmental task is defined as a set of skills and competencies peculiar to each stage of development that must be accomplished by the children to deal effectively with their environment. Maturation. Maturation is the process of becoming fully developed and grown. It literally means to ripen and involves qualitative change in individuals' biological dimension, alterations in function at a higher level, and further it depends on the child's heredity. Marlowe and Redding, 1989. In the first 20 years of life, developmental changes result in new, improved ways of behavior. That is healthier, more organized, more complex, more stable, and more competent. Personality. Personality refers to the whole group of adjustment techniques and equipments that are characteristics for a given individual in meeting the various situations of life. It is the aggregate of the physical and mental qualities of the individual as these interact in characteristic fashion with its environment. Personality distinguishes one individual from another. 3.3 Theories of development. Since the beginning of 20th century, research into human growth and development has led to a number of different developmental theories. Different theories emphasize on different aspects of development. Some theories view development as a continuous process, Others consider it as a discontinuous, with alternating periods of relative equilibrium and disequilibrium. Not one theory covers all developmental areas of interest. Tuners, so the knowledge of various theories is essential for providing comprehensive care to the patients. Some of the theories are discussed below. 3.3.1 Freud's psychoanalytic theory, development of sexuality. Freud's theory of personality development describes three major categories. 1. The structure of personality. It consists of ID, ego and superego. ID is the unconscious reservoir of primitive drives and instincts which looks for immediate gratification of needs. Ego meets and interacts with the outside world as a mediator and is the executive function of personality. It operates at all three levels of consciousness. Superego acts as the censoring force or conscience of the personality. It is composed of morals, values and ethics largely derived from one's parents. Superego also operates at all three levels of consciousness. 2. Dynamic of personalify. Each person has a certain amount of psychic energy to cope with the problems of everyday living. Person's behavior is governed by the psychic energy of ID, ego and superego. 3. The development of personality. Freud explains it by describing three levels of consciousness: the unconscious, preconscious and conscious. The unconscious level consists of drives, feelings, ideas and urges which a person is not aware of. The preconscious level consists of feelings, ideals, drives and ideas that are out of one's ongoing awareness but can be recalled readily. The conscious level of personality refers to the awareness of the present. Freud also described 5 phases of psychosexual development that have a great impact upon personality development. These are oral, anal, phallic, latency and genital phase. Table 3.1 describes the various developmental stages and tasks to be accomplished in each stage. Table 3.1 Freud's psychosexual developmental stages. Look at the screen. The needs of each stage should be understood by the nurse, so to help the individuals and families to meet the needs. The condition when one does not develop from one stage to next and is not satisfied to proceed to the next stage is called fixation. Freud's theory of development has several limitations. 1. It does not include all ages. 2. Heavy emphasis is placed on physical and sexual development. 3. Limited attention is given to cognitive and moral development. This theory cannot be easily applied to normal behavior, since it is based on data gathered on pathological behavior. Despite limitations, Freud's theory of development is helpful in highlighting the importance of certain life experiences and early interactions that may have significant impact on later development. 3.3.2 Erikson's theory of psychosocial development, Erikson described emotional or personality development as a continuous process with distinct stages. Each stage is characterized by the achievement of a particular developmental goal and developmental task to be mastered. Success in mastering the task prepares an individual to progress to the next stage. Inability to master a developmental task results in frustration and difficulty in coping with subsequent stages. Proper guidance is necessary at each stage of development to secure functional harmony. In adult life, Erikson has identified 8 psychosocial stages during one's life. These developmental stages are a series of normative conflicts that every person must handle. The two opposing energies must be synthesized in a constructive manner to produce positive expectations for new experiences. Table 4.2 presents the Erikson's stages of psychosocial development and the tasks to be accomplished in each phase. Table 3.2 Erikson's psychosocial developmental stages. Stage of development: developmental task. Oral sensory, 0 to 2 years, trust versus mistrust. Anal, 2 to 4 years, autonomy vs share and doubt. Genital locomotion, 4 to 8 years, initiative versus guilt. Latency, 8 to 12 years, industry versus inferiority. Puberty and adolescence, 13 to 20 years, identity versus role confusion. Young adulthood, 20 to 30 years. Intimacy versus isolation and solidarity. Middle adulthood, 30 to 60 years, generativity versus self-absorption and stagnation. Maturity or late adulthood, 65 vs death, integrity versus despair. Erikson's theory of development emphasizes growth and development and conflict as an ongoing process. This is a realistic approach, since an individual's thoughts, feelings and environment are seldom the same at all times. A person's ability to change and adopt behavior is important in maintaining control over his life. This theory emphasizes both what a person is attempting to achieve at a given time and what he wishes to avoid. These are mainly two limitations of Erikson's theory. Firstly, the age ranges for each stage are large, making it difficult to assign the completion of a task to a certain age. Secondly, the task of one stage may overlap the next stage. 3.3.3 Sullivan's interpersonal theory of development. Sullivan has described 6 stages of personality development from birth to maturity, which he has divided according to the capacity for communication and integration of new interpersonal experiences. The personality achieves some degree of stability at the end of juvenile era, but continues to develop beyond that time and has potential for corrective experiences. Sullivan believed that the juvenile and pre-adolescent eras contain the greatest opportunity for corrective experiences. 3.4 Factors affecting growth and development. 3.4.1 Heredity. Each type of living thing transmits specific hereditary information from one generation to the next. Inheritance influences the development of some traits more than others due to genetic constitution. It not only influences physical features but also influences primary reaction tendencies, e.g., activity level, sensitivity to stimuli, etc. The rate of growth is more alike among siblings than among unrelated persons. Essential characteristics of human inheritance are basically same for all but specific features differ. So heredity provides with similarity in human beings as well as individual differences. Examples of conditions are thalassemia. 3.4.2 Environment. Along with genetic inheritance, we also acquire social inheritance. Whatever values a particular society has or the rules that are set up, the individuals brought up in that society will pick up the same rules and will have the same values. Subgroups within a general sociocultural environment such as family, sex, age, social class, occupational, and religious group also foster beliefs and norms of their own, largely by means of social roles that their members learn to adopt. Role expectations also influence development. If individuals' social roles are conflicting, unclear and uncomfortable, or he is unable to achieve satisfactory role in the group, personality development and adjustment is impaired. Our genetics provides our potentialities for both biological and psychosocial development, but shaping of those potentialities in terms of perceiving, thinking, feeling and acting depends heavily on our physical and sociocultural environment. 3.4. 3 Self. As an infant grows, he learns to distinguish between himself, herself and other people. And think, me, I, self. As this self-structure develops, it becomes the integrating core of the personality. When a problem comes, it is thought about and acted upon in relation to the self. The experience of self-direction involves the self as knower, striver, and doer, which are three key functions of self-structure. The self includes the total subjective and objective qualities of a person. It includes the person's actual appearance, values, ideas, and knowledge, as well as self-perception and the perceptions of others. 3.5 Needs, problems and tasks of various developmental stages. From the moment of conception, human development proceeds at a rapid rate. During the prenatal period, the embryo grows from a single cell to a zygote, a complex psychological being. All major systems develop in utero and some start functioning before birth. The psychosocial aspects also begins to emerge during the gestation period. Most intrauterine health problems are caused by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Successful attainment of developmental tasks leads to healthy self-image and success with later tasks. Failure to achieve developmental tasks at one stage leads to unhappiness in the individual, disapproval of society, and difficulty in accomplishing late developmental tasks. 3.5.1 Infant. Infancy is the period from birth to 1 year of age. The infant's ability to handle the body, to learn and interact with environment develops dramatically. The first 28 days of life is the neonatal period. During this stage, the newborn's physical functioning is mostly reflexive, and stabilization of major organ system is the body's primary task. For example, the newborn's cry is generally a reflexive response to the unmet need, such as hunger. Nurses can apply knowledge of growth and development at this stage to assist the parents to identify the ways to meet needs of a neonate. Infancy is characterized by rapid physical growth and change. Interaction between the infant and environment is greater and more meaningful. A. Physical development. Steady and proportional growth of the infant is important. Growth charts help the nurse to evaluate growth pattern by recording measurements of weight, length, and head circumference, chest circumference at intervals. It is the best way to monitor growth and identify problems. Infants usually double their birth weight by 6 months, and it triples it by 12 months. They grow 10 to 12 inches at the end of their first year. The quantity and quality of nutrition influences the infant's growth and development. During the first 6 months of age, exclusive breastfeeding is recommended for the infants. B. Physiological stability. Infant struggles for physiological stability in the first few months after birth. Their breathing is shallow, rapid, and irregular. Keeping the baby warm, giving him a feeling of support, holding him closely, protecting him from strong sensory stimuli such as loud noise, external heat or cold, helps infant during transition period. Cuddling, bathing, feeding, and other details of daily care helps to establish regularity of breathing, feeding, and circulatory pattern. Physical growth, emotional, social, and neuromuscular learning are concurrent, interrelated, and rapid in the first year. C. Psychosocial development. I. The intellectual, emotional, social, and moral components can be combined into what is often referred to as psychosocial development. The separation of these facets of growth is artificial, for they are closely interrelated. Similarly, psychosocial, physical, and motor development greatly influence each other. The infant learns much by experiencing and manipulating the environment. During infancy, intellectual growth is more dramatic than any other development period. Development of motor, visual, and auditory skills enhances cognitive development. Cognitive behavior includes thinking, perceiving, remembering, forming concepts. Cognitive development in learning. 1-month-old infant can visually follow the path of a moving object. Improved Visual activity and eye-head coordination allow grasping and exploration of objects. The infant's hearing also progresses. He is able to localize and discriminate the sounds. By 1 year, the infant knows the meaning of different sounds. Speech also develops during infancy. By 12 months, the infant begins to recognize objects in the environment. Nurses must understand that the hospitalized infants need adequate stimulation for proper intellectual growth. Visual, sensory and tactile stimulations are as necessary for healthy development as food. 2. Development tasks in infancy. 1. Achieve physiological equilibrium after birth. 2. Establish self as a dependent person but separate from others. 3. Become aware of the environment, e.g., live versus inanimate, familiar versus unfamiliar, and develop rudimentary social interaction. 4. Develop a feeling of and desire for affection and response from others. 5. Learn new motor skills, begin eye-hand coordination and establish rest activity. Rhythm. 6. Start developing preverbal communication, e.g., by 9 to 12 months the infant recognizes his/her own name, responds to the word no, and begins to use articulate sounds to convey meaning to others. 7. Direct emotional expression to indicate needs and wishes. 3.5.2 Toddler needs. The toddler period ranges from the 1st to the 3rd year of life. Toddlerhood is characterized by increasing independence due to greater physical mobility and cognitive abilities. The toddler is pleased with successful efforts with his new skills. He attempts to control his environment. Unsuccessful attempt to control may result in negative behavior and temper tantrums. Physical development. The child walks in an upright position. Gross motor skills develop rapidly. He is able to walk up and down stairs, kick a ball, jump and stand on one foot. He can ride a tricycle and can run well. He is able to draw circle and can usually stack a tower of small blocks. He is able to undress himself and is able to develop sphincter control, which allows toilet training. The nurse needs to teach parents that patience, consistency, non-judgmental attitude and child's readiness are essential component for toilet training. The cardiopulmonary system becomes stable. The anterior fontanelle closes between 12 and 13 months of age. By 2 years the child weighs 4 times his birth weight and height increases 3 to 5 inches a year. Nutritional requirements are increasingly met by solid foods. The nurses should advise parents to limit milk intake of toddler to 28 ounces per 1 liter per day so that essential solid foods can be served. Small reasonable servings allow the toddler to eat all his meal. The toddler's visual activity and ability to accommodate, to make adjustments to objects at varying distances from his/her eyes, are comparable to that of an adult. Play is the mode through which the toddler learns to manage his body, improves muscular coordination and manual dexterity. He also releases emotional tensions, aggression, through play defects. Psychosocial development. This stage is characterized by development of autonomy. The child explores his immediate environment. The toddler is a self-loving, uninhibited, dominating, energetic little person absorbed in his/her own importance, always seeking attention and approval. Parents usually remain the most significant persons in toddler's life. Toddler is extremely active and unable to limit his own behavior. Parents must set limits. This causes conflict between the toddler and parents. Firm, consistent limit setting helps to lessen the conflict as the child grows older and internalize his behavior limits. Toddler explores his environment, which can lead him to open and taste noxious material. Parents must look up all possible positions to create a safer environment. For toddler. The toddler begins to adapt to his culture because of primary identification. S. He imitates the parents and responds to their encouragement and discouragement. At this stage, the chief molder of personality is the family unit and the center of the toddler's world is home. Cognitive development. The toddler moves from the sensorimotor to the preconceptual stage of cognitive development. In this, the child learns to recognize the preeminency of objects, develops a memory of events. Child is egocentric and is unable to assume the view of another. Child uses languages as a major tool and frequently expresses fantasy and magical thinking. Toddlers do not understand the concepts of right and wrong. They grasp the fact that some behavior brings pleasant results and other elicit unpleasant results. He behaves simply to avoid unpleasant and seeks out the pleasant. Learning to communicate in an understandable manner through speech begins during this time. A 24-month-old child has a vocabulary of up to 300 words and speaks short sentences. 2. Developmental tasks. Developmental tasks for the toddler may be summarized as follows. 1. Setting into healthy daily routines. 2. Mastering eating habits. 3. Mastering basic toilet training. 4. Developing the physical skills appropriate to his/her age. 5. Becoming a family member. 6. Learning to communicate efficiently with an increasing number of other members. 3.5.3 Preschooler. I. Needs. This period spans the ages between 3 and 6 years. Preschooler child is less negative and can more accurately share his thoughts and can more effectively interact and communicate. Physical development is slow and cognitive and psychosocial development is rapid. Physical development. Weight increases approximately 2.5 kg per year and height increases approximately 2 inches per year. Nutritional needs remain relatively stable. Fine muscle coordination improves. The preschooler runs well, walks up and down steps with ease and learns to hop. By 6.years, child skip and throw and catch a ball. He can copy circles, crosses, squares and triangles. The child needs opportunities to learn and practice physical skills. Psychosocial development. Preschooler relies on the support of parents for security. He is less afraid of strangers and seeks out experiences with peers. He enjoys playing with peers. He has the tendency to explore his/her genital organs. During this phase of pregenital sexuality, positive possessions or love feelings are directed mainly toward the parent of the opposite sex. Through play, the child may express questions, fears, anger and misunderstanding about his illness and care. Other people may be significant to the child, depending on frequency and duration of contact and warmth of the relationship, e.g., babysitter, neighbors. Cognitive development. The preschooler is able to consider the views of another and his thinking becomes less egocentric. He can solve a problem intuitively on the basis of only one aspect of a situation. The knowledge of the preschooler is closely linked to his concrete experiences. If two events are related to time or space, the child links them in causal fashion. The child begins to reason from the general to the particular. The preschooler begins to understand the behaviors considered to be socially right or wrong. He is better able to identify behaviors that elicit rewards or punishment. Vocabulary increases greatly and by 5 years of age the child has more than 200 words to express himself. He can name colors and body parts. 2. Developmental tasks. 1. Acquisition of understandable speech and language. 2. Learn to adjust and compromise. 3. Communicate with other effect only. 4. Increased interpersonal relationship. 5. Get prepared to got to school. 3.5.4 School age child. I. Need. School age period is usually considered between 6 to 12 years of age. Most cultures provide some systemic, structured learning experiences during these years to assist children in becoming productive, functioning members of the society. This age is a period of transition from a life of free play to a life of structured play, learning and works. The school age years are divided into juvenile period, 6 to 9 years, marked by a need for peer associations, and pre-adolescence period between 9 to 12 years, which is marked by new capacity to love, the satisfaction and security of another person of the same sex is important to the child. Physical development. During 6 to 12 years of age there is gradual and steady physical growth and development. Height increases to 0.2 to 4.4 centimeters per year and weight increases 3 to 6 pounds per year. During this age large muscle coordination improves and children become more skillful in their body movement. Fine motor coordination improves. Painting, drawing, playing computer games and model making provides vehicle for children to practice and improve greatly newly refined skill. The temperature, pulse, and respiration approach adult normal. The first permanent tooth starts erupting. Deciduous or baby teeth are lost and replaced. Nutritional requirements remain stable and children need well-balanced diet. Nurses need to encourage parents to provide nutritious snacks to children. During this age, nurses should encourage the children to pursue various activities to improve refined skills. The preadolescent grows rapidly and exhibits secondary sex characteristics. There is an increase in fat deposition and females have more subcutaneous fat deposit and the fat is lost at a slower rate. Injury and trauma are common at this stage. Psychosocial developments. According to Erickson, this is the stage of developing achievement versus inferiority. A sense of achievement comes from success with effort. They develop independence in activities of daily living. The child should be involved in decision-making. Children enjoy group games. They learn to contribute, collaborate and work cooperatively towards a common goal. They prefer companion of same sex and view opposite sex negatively. The child views rules as necessary. Principles of life. Identity and self-concept become stronger and more individualized. Nurse should organize program for these children on topics that encourage positive behavior. Cognitive development. School-age child develops capabilities for exploring, understanding and communicating. An understanding of the world. He is able to think abstractly, can use past information, and plan for the future. The child considers the views of others and his thinking is a more socialized manner as he grows. Children learn the language of peers and adults. They are able to link words into phrases and sentences. The child is beginning to make conceptual thinking and abstract defining, along with the verbal and formal reasoning. 8. She sees the moral of a story. 2. Developmental tasks. While the school child continues working on past tasks, he is confronted with series of new ones. These are 1. Decreasing dependence upon family and gaining satisfaction from peers and other adults. 2. Increasing neuromuscular skills so that he can participate in games. 3. Learning basic adult concepts to be able to reason and engage in tasks of everyday living. 4. Learn ways to communicate with others in coherent ways. 5. Becoming more active and cooperative family member. 6. Learning socially acceptable ways in handling feelings and impulses. 7. Adjusting with his changing body image and with muscular or feminine social role. 8. Developing a positive attitude. 3.5.5 Adolescence. I. Needs. The term adolescent refers to biopsychological maturation of the individual. Puberty is the biological maturation that makes reproduction possible. At this time, increased hormonal secretions lead to increased sexual drives and impulses. Adolescence is the period in life which begins with puberty and extends from 8 to 10 years until person is physically and psychologically mature, ready to assume responsibilities and be self-sufficient because of changes in intellect, attitudes, and interact. Physical development. Adolescents undergo rapid physical changes including the development of primary and secondary sexual characteristics. There is increased growth of skeleton, muscle, and viscera. The growth spurt in girls generally begins between 10 to 14 years and for boys between 12 to 16 years of age. Height increases approximately 4 to 12 inches. And weight increases by 15 to 60 pounds. Specific changes such as widening of shoulders in male and widening of hips in females occur. Reproductive system matures and secondary sex characteristics develop. Hormonal changes contribute to the development of primary and secondary sex changes. The physical maturity enables the female to begin menstruation and the male to produce spermatozoa. Adolescents are sensitive about the physical changes. Nurses need to share the knowledge of normal pattern of growth to reassure them that their growth pattern is normal. The body's metabolic rate increases, thus the nutritional needs also increase. They have increased appetite. The cause of accidents in this age group is motor vehicles and fights among rival groups. Other health problems are obesity, acne, pregnancy, venereal diseases and substance abuse. Psychosocial development. This is the most difficult adjustment during adolescence. The social groups of boys are larger and more loosely knit, whereas those of girls are smaller and more sharply refined. Physical changes of puberty enhance the achievement of sexual identity and development of masculine and feminine behavior. Adolescents seek a group identity. Popularity with opposite sex and same-sex peers is important. Adolescents try to talk about God and religion. This is a period of a transition from family group to peer group. Adolescents need to make choices independently and experience the consequences of actions. The family needs to allow independence, providing supportive environment in which adolescents can contemplate actions. During this period, one selects an occupational or vocational direction in life. Adolescents achieve high level of moral judgment. They learn to understand rules and learn to apply rules by using their own judgment. Adolescents tend to compare themselves to others, which lead to anxiety. Adolescents may be reluctant to have medical examinations that intensify sexual feelings and guilt. It also arouses fear of finding abnormalities. The adolescents manifest intensified feelings and mood swings. They often express feelings in actions instead of words. Tasks of adolescence include consolidation of a sense of self-identity, control of feelings, learning to work and play with members of both sexes, and establishment of sexual relationships. Cognitive development. Adolescents are capable of formal operations in which they can separate real from the possible. They can use deductive reasoning and can consider logic of a problem. They can even solve problems requiring simultaneous manipulation of several abstract concepts. Adolescents develop workable philosophy of life. This requires abstract and analytical thinking. They use scientific approach to problem solving. Language development is fairly complete by adolescence, although vocabulary continues to expand. 2. Developmental tasks of adolescence. 1. Accepting the body changes and its functions. 2. Understanding the meaning of physical maturity. 3. Achieving a satisfying and socially accepted feminine-masculine role. 4. Finding the self as a member of one or more peer groups and developing skills in relating to a variety of people. 5. Achieving independence from parents and other adults at the same time. Maintaining an interdependence with them. 6. Selecting a satisfying occupation in time with interests, abilities and preparing for economic independence. 7. Developing the intellectual and work skills and social sensitivities of a competent citizen. 8. Developing a workable philosophy, a mature set of values and ideals. 3.5.6 Adulthood and middle age. The person is said to have attained adulthood with the completion of physical maturation and has become sufficiently well integrated and emotionally mature to utilize the opportunities and accept the responsibilities which accompany it. By this age, most men and women have learned to accept their physiques. Since not much can be done to their appearance, the adult's major concern is to improve it. As a person grows, the signs of aging like weight gain, grey hair, dry and wrinkled skin etc. become areas of concern. Any physical defect or deformity may become serious adjustment problem, as it may prove to be serious handicap to getting jobs, making friends or marrying. The most creative periods often come from people in their 20s. Adults are expected to assume many duties and responsibilities. There is a slow but continuous rise in intelligence. Mental abilities reach at peak. The young adult will be under stress if his high aspirations are not matched with achievements. He overstrains himself to achieve his high expectations. It will lead to stress, emotional breakdown and cause psychosomatic problems. The most significant problems that affect the young adult include drug abuse, alcohol dependence, depression and difficulties in marital adjustments. Middle age is marked by physical and mental changes. Middle-aged persons are usually in fairly good physical and emotional health and financially secure. They have recognized their intellectual abilities, established themselves in the social world and found ways to meet their spiritual needs. The man is well established in work. His experiences are found very valuable. He experiences certain changing roles such as parenthood, work, spouse, sex role, etc. Most working adults spend more time at their occupations than at any other single activity. The other problems faced during the age include excess fat deposition, anxiety, diabetic mellitus, cardiac problems, menopause, osteoporosis, alcoholism, depression, Alzheimer's disease, etc. 3.5.7 Old age. Old age is the last developmental stage of life. This stage begins between 65 and 75 years of age. The population of this group is increasing rapidly. Healthcare professionals need to work to improve quality of their life. Physiological, cognitive and psychosocial health of older adults poses special challenges in meeting their health needs. Establishing satisfactory living arrangement is one of the important tasks of elderly. If an elderly person's living arrangements are inadequate, it may lead to loneliness, anxiety, depression, etc. Adjusting one's standard of living to a reduced income after retirement is another important task to be accomplished. Retirement also provides a person with more leisure time. Elderly people need to establish comfortable routine after retirement. Maintaining love, sex and marital relationships is another task of elderly. Provided elderly are healthy, they are capable of active sex life. Elderly people have the desire to keep active and involved by sharing knowledge and experience with younger generation. They have strong need to stay in touch with other family members. Loneliness can lead to depression and suicidal thoughts. Old age people have a strong need to sustain and maintain their physical and mental health. Aged persons fear loss of control over daily routines, loss of identity and social isolation because of failing health. Aged people are eager to talk about days gone by. They teach not from books but from their long experience in living. To improve the quality of life for aging persons, the elderly should be involved in society. They should be permitted to work instead of being forced into retirement. They feel more secured and useful when they continue to work. Public transport system and health systems should improve facilities for elderly. Elderly are prey for youth gangs and burglars. They should be provided more safety and security by the public. 3.6 Death and dying. Birth and death are universal. Death is an inevitable event that every individual faces at the end of life. Death is an overwhelming experience that affects the dying person, as well as the family, friends, and caregiver. Humans are able to anticipate personal death. This generates different feelings in different persons. It may cause anxiety, denial, loneliness, love, achievement, and lack of achievement. To the family, death means the experience of loss, grief, coping with loss of the process of mourning. Emotional stages associated with process of dying. In 1969, Ross presented with 5 possible stages of dying experienced by the patient and loved ones. First stage is denial, where initial shock occurs. It may last for few minutes to few months. Second stage is anger, which is directed to self, God, and others. Third stage is bargaining, in which the individual attempts to postpone death, which is the dreaded moment. Fourth stage is of depression. Finally, the individual reaches fifth stage of acceptance, wherein he accepts death as inevitable. A client experiences many emotions depending on the stage of dying. Their nurse must recognize that each emotion serves a purpose. Tasks of dying. The dying has a limited time period ending in death, in which one make arrangements and accommodations. Affairs need to be put in order. Accommodating oneself to one's own loss requires introspection and meditation. To cope effectively with impending death is the most important task for a dying person. Patient's right. Each dying person has rights, which the nurses must understand and protect. He has the right to be treated as a living being until he dies. He has the right to be treated with respect and honesty. He has the right to be taken care of and the right to express his feelings and emotions. He has the right to be free from pain and die in peace and dignity. He has the right to discuss and carry out his religious or spiritual experiences, whatever they may mean to others. He has the right to expect that the sanctity of the human body will be respected after death. Nursing care of the dying patient and his family. The dying person must be treated as a unique individual. The nursing care should foster the optimum quality of life for the individual at that point of time. He and his family need to be dealt with in a secure and protected atmosphere. Meeting his physical needs and preventing or alleviating his physical problems reassure the dying individual and his loved one. Nurses need to provide required information to the client and the family. She must spend time daily with individual. Listen rather than talk. Encourage him/her to share and express his feelings. Help the individual to have a peaceful death. 3.7 Let us sum up. In this unit you have learnt about some of the theories of development and needs, problems and tasks of various developmental stages of an individual. Nursing practice, based on principles of growth and development, helps the nurse to promote healthy development and provide comprehensive nursing care to the clients. Nursing practice based on principles of growth and development is organized and directed toward helping individuals adapt to changing internal and external conditions. It involves many complex changes in all dimensions throughout the lifespan. The normal ranges of growth and development within each development stage helps the nurse to access the client's status and intervene, if necessary, to promote healthy development. Each stage is associated with certain physiological and psychosocial health needs and risk factors. While providing nursing care to the clients, the nurses' awareness of these elements is essential. Nurses can better access the needs of the client by keeping the developmental perspective in mind. Nursing interventions for an individual should help promote cognitive and psychosocial development of the individual. The nurse who understands the interrelationship of physiological, cognitive, and psychosocial needs and their influence on overall health assesses life changes as a part of the nursing history. Thank you.